Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. It is Saturday, November 26th, 2022, and welcome to Artist Dream Life Sessions. This is actually the last 4 weeks worth because I was not able to get any of my videos in. So I hope you can forgive me for that. I really wanted to separate each one of these that I'm going to share today piece by piece, but life told me otherwise. So here we are. This is point number 6, which is distribution, publishing, copyrights, and ownership. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share on all 4 of these with some of these notes that I've taken since last year. And I'd like for you guys, if possible, to just share your experience with any of these, because as I've shared before, everyone's in a different space on their journey to building their dream life as an artist. So please don't mind the noise, or please laugh and enjoy it, whichever works for you. But it's so pretty outside. It's been really stormy and rainy for the last couple of weeks, it feels. And today's beautiful, so I felt like today's a good day to be outside and come and chat with y'all because I've missed you. So these 4 points are very, very crucial to building your life as an artist. They're also very challenging, and there's a lot more than I think we realized, at least for me, when I was studying and taking notes on all of this. As I said, everybody's in a different space and part of their journey. So some of you know all of this because you're already in establishment when it comes to your life as an artist, and others of you are just getting going, and some of you are somewhere in between. So the more that you can share, the more that everyone can benefit. So I'm encouraging you, as I have before when we were coming to this space, that we share our experiences with this. So we're going to begin with ownership. Now, ownership, I've shared, is essentially the invisible qualification, the invisible trademark and patent and copyright of your voice. It is inherited, it is God-given, and it is signature, and it is impossible for anyone to steal it. Coming to this knowledge first is your starting point and your foundation, because when you realize that you are literally anointed by the hand of God to do what you're doing in a way that nobody else can, it really postures you to own your voice, to own your craft, to own your art, and to own the assignment that you have to share it with the world. So ownership is the first building block in these 4. Now, when it comes to copywriting is the physical, literal, and legal part of putting your name and signature on your work. And it is very different for every medium. For a visual artist, it is different than it is for a writer. And for a writer, it's different than it is for a musician. So this is where you need to take time to study your medium and what requirements are there for you to get your work copyrighted. Now, the reason you want to get it copyrighted is because, especially in our digital age, it's very easy for your work to get lost in the world of internet, as I've shared before. So having it essentially sealed and protected with your signature legally is important as you are putting your work together and getting it out there. Okay, so second thing is, or I should say third thing is publishing. Bear with me 1 second because I think I have a little bit more on this. Actually, that's in my other notebook. Okay, publishing. I shared on the last time we did a session. I think it's here, which is point number 4. Right. So point number 4 in the artist workshop was on publishing. I shared on the importance of collaborations, and number 6, which is what we're doing today, the overview of number 6. Now, part of publishing is understanding how the market works, which is something for me that I've had to study because, especially in the music realm, there is so much to cover in the music realm. When it comes to the connection between publishing, distributing, and revenue, because they're all interconnected. So how well you publish and distribute will determine how well of an income you're going to receive through your work. So I've taken some notes on some of this, which I'm going to share now. Now, because of the times that we're in, and mostly everything right now is digital, it is a little bit different than the days of signing with the label and getting a certain percentage of royalties. Although that is still in play, but I'm going to run through some of this, and hopefully most of this you guys already know, but if you don't, then you will learn something today. Now, also, if there's something I miss, please share it, because this is just some of the stuff that I picked up on as I was studying last year. And actually there is another thing that I just remembered that I didn't jot down here. When it comes to collecting your royalties. Okay. So, so these notes, I always write a little note for myself from the source of where I get my notes from, okay? So some of this that I wrote here is from Music Entrepreneur Club. He has a channel on YouTube, and I encourage all artists to subscribe to him. I've seen a couple of his videos, I believe last year, and he just seems very knowledgeable and a good resource to help you on your journey. Now, he listed four ways to collect your royalties independently. The first one is to release your music through an independent or indie distributor. Okay, so what is a distributor? A distributor is someone who distributes your music. Usually you pay them a fee, and they're all different. You will pay them a fee, and they will be the ones to distribute your music for you. So some of these are CD Baby, TuneCore, DistroKid, and United Masters. Now, of course, depending on where you are in the world, because some of the companies that the states have are not overseas and vice versa. So it's important that you look that up for your region and your area to know which is the right one for you. And as I said, I believe these all have like just a different system of how they help you. So see which one works for you. So basically, they collect the revenue from the master recordings for you. Okay? Now, the second way to collect royalties independently is to affiliate with a collection society or a PRO. Okay, so PROs collect the share of performance royalties, that is music streamed publicly, and that's anywhere. So anywhere that your song is played, the PROs will collect your performance royalties for you. Okay, so that's the second one. The third one is to register your songs with a public administrator. Okay, so what are these? Public administrators are the ones who collect performance and mechanical royalties, especially outside of the U.S. territory. That was a little note that I put there. So now, what's the difference between performance and mechanical royalties? Okay, so mechanical royalties are the royalties that you are granted through the work that you have put out in, and this is where it gets a little, not confusing, but you have to really pay attention, because when your work is in digital format and it is done in streams, it is especially important to know how to have these in place so that you can get your revenue from your streams. Now, in the older days when we had discs and CDs and analog form music, it was much easier to track how much you sold, because it was by it was in bulk, or however you guys did it back in those days. But with the streams, because they are so easily accessible, it's important to have these in place, as I said, so that you can keep track of what you're selling. Okay, so real quick, the PROs, these are the three main ones in the U.S. So it's ASCAP, BMI, and CSAP. Okay, so these are the ones who are the ones who collect your share of performance royalties, which again are the ones that are played publicly, and that includes live performance. Okay, so let's see. Okay, and this leads me into the last one. So the last one is to register your music with Sound Exchange. So Sound Exchange collects digital performance royalties on master recordings. Okay, this is crucial because this is what we were talking about, is having a system in place to track your digital recording plays. Okay, now I know there's also there's so many different streaming formats and streaming services these days, and again, because we're a global community, it's going to be different for all of us, but knowing what those are for you is very important to be able to track your income and your revenue. Okay, so let's see. Okay. All right, so here's a little note that I found very interesting. Some of you might know this, but I didn't know this. That after 2 to 3 years, music royalties that are not collected go into something called black box royalties, which goes to top market share. Does anybody know what I'm talking about here? And there is a way to find this. Okay. Songtrust is another service. I've heard a lot about Songtrust. I've even had people tell me that it's something that they really believe in. So that might be something you guys already know. Now, as far as the major labels, or collecting your royalties through the, I guess I would say the traditional way of doing it, which is through major labels. So what is the label's job? The label's job is to market your product and to promote it, basically. Now, the thing with labels, and some of you know this because some of you are older in your realm, each label does it differently. Some labels want to take a percentage of your overall, and some want something up front. And this is where you have to just have discernment about what is best for your work, for your brand, for your band. And that's another thing to remember as well, because when you are in a band and you have your mechanical royalties, which are divided between, I believe, the songwriting and the instrumentation of it. Everyone is a contributor to the overall product and the overall master. So it's very important. This is the only thing I'm going to say about working with labels, which I do believe labels are good. I believe in labels. I think that when it's done with integrity and when it's done with mutual interest and benefit, that it can be a great partnership, and it can help you help each other in your growth as an artist. But it is important, especially when there are more than one or two in a band, that everybody is happy with whatever agreement you're signing to when it comes to handing your work over to someone else to represent it. So that's one like major highlight I would share with you, is just to make sure everyone is happy with the overall agreement of what you're signing to when it comes to whether it's an independent label or a major label. And really, some of it's the same and some of it is different. So this is why it's important to just know what you're getting into before you get into it. Let's see, what else here? Yes, I wanted to share that there is, for those of you who are doing your music digitally, and like solely digitally, this is important. There is something called Audium in relation to YouTube. So Audium is a company that helps you collect your royalties from YouTube. I had no idea about this, but I know that many of our artists are on YouTube and don't even really think about the fact that your music being streamed is collecting royalties for you. Now the way you collect them is to go through Audium, okay? So those of you that know what this is, please elaborate for me, because I literally just found out like earlier this year about it. And in the same way, let's see. Some of the other streaming platforms have their own percentage that they give you when they stream. For example, when it comes to music royalties, in the US, an artist receives 9.1 cents per unit. Now this is mechanical royalties, and in the UK, you receive 50%, and the label receives 50%. So this is different. Like I said, it's different from region to region. So it's important for you to know what you are supposed to be receiving. And again, that's going to depend on who you've signed up with. There is another service that I am connected to, I believe, here on Instagram, and maybe on YouTube. I need to see if I've subscribed, but who is a UK-based service to help you distribute your work digitally. So I encourage you to connect with them as well. But the important and overall thing to remember when it comes to distribution and publishing is to know how you're doing it, and to make sure that everyone that is involved in the project is happy with, sorry about the tables moving, is happy with the agreement that you're signing to. Now, another thing I wanted to share that is very important for us is that right now everything is digital. What I'm doing with Soñado Libré sound, it's all digital at the moment. That is going to change in time, because it is part of the vision. But one of the things that I have been trying to implement, and again, please forgive this setback after setback, because it's been very challenging to be in this transition and not have stability to be consistent with my calendar. But when we are doing the live shows online, part of my hope with this is to help, obviously to help share your work with our community and with your community and everybody else that's involved, but also to help bring some revenue to you. I've shared before that the way it works with Instagram and YouTube is very similar. You have to have a certain amount of subscribers or followers in order to get the perks of being able to make a profit or monetize, or I think I can't remember what it's called on Instagram, but you have to have so many followers to do it, and you have to have so many subscribers to do it on YouTube. So to sort of bypass that, my hope is when we do the live shows, and by the way, anyone who wants to do a live show with me, you simply need to message me and say, I want to do a live show, and I will make time for it. I will make sure it happens. When we do these shows, I would like to find a way to link your material or your website or whatever it is that you want to share, whether it's a new release or an old release, so that when we get online and watch the show, we can go to your website or we can go to your channel or whatever it is, and we can support you, literally. I have a post probably a few months back, and it is sort of an ode to the old days of the $5 donation shows, which I used to do under the old umbrella of word of mouth and tell everyone. And so I kind of want to bring that back. And I was encouraging us to maybe save $5 a week or a month, so that when our artists come on here and they share their work, that we can help bless them with a little bit of revenue. So keep a lookout for that. That's still coming. And I think that's all on distribution, publishing, copyrights, and ownership. Let me see if there's anything else in my notes, because I do have some notes from the workshop which I did in April. Right, so I'm just going to ask you the same questions that I asked back in April. Which of these do I have established when it comes to these areas of copyright, publishing, and distribution? That's number one. Number two is, which of these do I need help with? And this is where we go back to the collaborations. This is where we go back to remembering that there are some aspects of our work that we need mentoring with, that we need collaborations. And what I love about our community is that there are so many amazing artists that wear a lot of hats. And I encourage you to connect with everyone here, because as I always say, we are connected by divine alignment, and we each have something for one another. So if you have areas that you need help with, or you're trying to understand a little bit more, don't ever hesitate to reach out to anybody here. And the third question is, it's actually a two-part question. What has been my experience so far in these areas? Again, taking inventory of where you're at is important to do that periodically, so you can adjust. You can make those adjustments. For example, if you're struggling with the area, and these are like the overall 8 foundational pillars. If you're struggling with marketing, or you're struggling with revenue, then you need to come back to the others and see, where do I need to adjust so I can start bringing more income in.